Marcel, firstly, thanks a lot for catching up with me today. I know that the people that are going to be listening and reading into our catch up today are going to take a lot away from what you've got to say. But I think the first thing which I really want to understand is Adidas specifically. I know that you lead a global role, but specifically Adidas in Manchester Stockport office. What really does make it such an amazing place to work?
Definitely the people. You know, the environment's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Like if you've ever managed to visit the Hazel Grove site, the facilities are incredible. From gyms to restaurants to football pitches, basketball courts, CrossFit gyms. You know, it truly is incredible, the facility. But it has to be the people. And it might sound a bit cheesy and corny, but I think the toughest thing at the moment during lockdown is not being around those colleagues, and it really is a huge miss, especially for me. So I can't wait for not only the pandemic to clear for health reasons, but also just to be able to get back in the office and be around those people. It's just not the same working remotely.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've touched on it there already. I know that we've. I think the thing with the coronavirus is that it's affected everyone, and everyone's got their own areas where it's affected them. But I think you've touched on it there, where I think I'm in the same position. I've been in my kitchen for almost a year now. How have you set up as a business, moving to working in a more digital way and remotely from home? So I know that you're all based in the office, right, initially?
Yeah, sort of. We've always kind of had flexible working anyway. So we've always had this setup that, you know, you can be in the office sort of 3 days a week, 2 days at home. So when we took that transition to being, you know, in lockdown when everybody was full time at home, it was different, you know, but I think we adapted to it a lot quicker than maybe some organizations, just because we were maybe a little bit more used to remote working. I think the biggest thing for us is to continue to monitor our employees' mental health and continue to offer support to employees with families and without families as well, because that's what we're seeing. There's the biggest trend externally at the moment is lockdown affecting mental health, and we obviously trust our employees in terms of productivity, but we just want to make sure that, you know, whatever your situation at home is, we've equipped you with the very best home working facilities, so for example, or even just remote working support from your teams, because it can be, you know, if you don't have a family at home, for example, it can be very isolating place working from home 24/7.
And I know it's probably quite a simple way of thinking, but how did you go about making sure that the employees knew that they had that there for when they were at home and they were through that period?
Yeah, so one thing that we have in our business is the internal communications team, and they send out regular updates and newsletters to the organization across North Europe, and then you have the global comms team as well that send out comms globally. But when you bring it back into more of the Stockport office, we also have the Wellness International team that are based in-house in Hazel Grove, and they send out you know, links to readings. They send out support lines, support phone numbers, any kind of material that they feel that might be relevant for that moment in time. They'll send it out weekly, so there's always a periodic update as to what's going on in the business and what support you can get.
Nice. So it sounds like everyone's well equipped to make sure that they never fall into that trap. I think you've spoken about it already. Your office sounds incredible. It's got every single sport facility there. I mean, how would you describe the culture at Adidas?
Good question. It's certainly a unique culture. You know, being in recruitment and, you know, working for agencies for a number of years and recruiting for hundreds of businesses across the UK and Europe, I think what sets us apart is you work very hard in Adidas, right? We want to be the best sports business in the entire world, you know, and with that comes hard work. But the facilities allow you to not only work hard, but also to shut off as well and just completely zone out, completely relax. You can go to a kitchen area, like there's numerous little kitchen areas around the business with like sofas and stuff, and you can go watch some Sky Sports or change a channel to whatever you want, or you can go into the showrooms and just sit around product if that's your thing, or go up to the Reebok studio and do some yoga, or get on a Peloton type bike and cycle away. It's just the culture. It's again probably a cliche term, is work hard, play hard. At the moment, it's very much, we are very busy, so it's very much work hard, but there is ample opportunity to just zone out and relax as well. And that's probably why you'll see more employees at Adidas in Stockport being at the office rather than remote working, because they want to be in the office, because there's so much to do, so much going on.
Definitely, it sounds like an amazing culture, and I think that work hard, play hard thing is, I guess, a cliche saying, but it does make complete sense in terms of you really do get what you put into it.
Yeah.
I think in terms of what we've spoken there already, we touched on the way that people feel at work, why it's such a great culture. I think in terms of nowadays, especially with Gen Z generation, they want to understand what's great about learning and development and what opportunities there are there. So can you tell me a little bit more about that, Adidas?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I think Gen Z is always a population of people that we're consistently and continually trying to learn and understand, in terms of what their wants, desires, needs are, because they're very different to us and me, for example. But we have a talent and learning team on site. So we have a global talent and learning team in Adidas, as you can expect, but then you localize it down for the market. So they put together programs. The grad program that we currently have is like a rookie season, for example, and they're continuously getting feedback from interns and universities to ensure that we are trying to be the best graduate or intern employer across the Northwest. But then also for those that don't want to be on an internship or just want to come straight out of school or uni and go straight into a management position or an entry position within Adidas, it's understanding, okay, well, what is it that motivates you? Is it, okay, you're joining one of the biggest sports brands in the world? Is that your motivator? Or is it actually you want the cash? Is the cash driving you? Is the benefits driving you? We're trying to understand all of that right now. And what I think one of the best things that we're currently doing, and we're reviewing, and we have been doing for a number of years, and we continuously do every year, is adjust our benefits package depending on the situation, because not every one person's the same, and we can't continuously offer the same benefits and packages and deals to every single person, because a gym membership might be great for me, but it might not be great for you. So why would I offer it to you if that's not what you want as a benefit? Do you know what I mean? So it's just making sure that we are creating an opportunity that fits that Gen Z population, because ultimately that's going to be our future. That's going to be our future talent. They're the people that are going to be driving our business forward well past the time I'm gone.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a unique way of looking at it, that you're offering different packages to people and you're so flexible given the size of the business, and that you can tailor to people. I think that's an amazing thing that a company of your size can do.
Yeah. Really cool site. You've got like it's like a platform called Adi Extras, so you can just log in and there's loads of like benefits and stuff. It's quite good, actually, to be fair.
Oh, amazing! That sounds great. I think I can see on the site on the top just behind you says inclusion matters. I know a big part of Adidas and many businesses this year and at the back end of last year has been the focus on diversity inclusion, with Black Lives Matter coming to the forefront. Unfortunately, within July and June after the events in America, it'd be great to get some understanding of how you as a business, how you as a talent team have gone about that, and especially when you're interviewing new people to come into the business.
Yeah, so the incidents in North America certainly weren't a North American issue. It sparked global outrage, I guess. It caused people to stand up and realize that Black lives do matter, and racism is a global issue, not just a North American issue. And Adidas reacted. There was various news articles that you can see, and I won't comment on them too much, but we as a business, we didn't just ignore the events going on externally. We looked at ourselves internally and ensured that our employees felt that we were an employer employer of choice, an employer that supported them. You know, myself, I've been involved in a number of initiatives to, as you can see, inclusion matters, to ensure that we are, you know, listening to our employees, we are meeting our employees' inclusion needs and being diverse. So, you know, we are being inclusive and then diverse, you know, so we are continuously on a journey, and it's one that should never be ended. And that's something that Adidas has always focused in on, is the D&I aspects of what we're about as a business. Because as you can see from a consumer point of view, we are extremely diverse. We have many touch points in that atmosphere, and we want to ensure that our external image mirrors our internal image as well. So there's plenty of global initiatives. You know, you'll see our head of global D&I, Asif, is absolute inspiration, and some of the stuff that he's been landing into our business and brand, joining at the time of the height of the BLM movement, you know, must have been difficult, but the way he's then coordinated not only those topics, but then all aspects of D&I, and continue to push and strive that we are going to be truly inclusive as an organization has been fantastic.
Yeah, I think especially joining a new business, but then having to communicate a lot of that stuff not in person as well is very difficult. I mean, were there any great highlights that you saw in terms of internal messaging, or ways that it went around in terms of passing that information down to a team? I mean, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Do you mean from Asif, or do you mean just about inclusion in general?
From Asif, from you to your team, it'd be great to get some understanding how you approached it as well.
Yeah, of course. So we just, if you look at the talent acquisition team, we looked at our processes. We continuously, every single year, we look at how we can be better as a talent acquisition team. And with D&I always being on our objectives, always being on our radar in terms of how do we recruit in a fair, equitable and competitive way. We stripped back again, you know, our process from the moment a candidate touches Adidas, whether it's on our consumer site or whether it's our careers page, and we kind of walk through that journey. Okay, what are they clicking on? What are they seeing? What's the terminology? What's the videos look like? What are the images looking like? You know, what's the actual candidate click through and the whole application process? Is it inclusive? Is it accessible? And we just then look back at, okay, well, that's a global talent process. We understand that. We can put a framework and a process in place for that. But then what about our people? How do we engage our people to become inclusive recruiters, or continue to be inclusive recruiters? So we challenged ourselves and we challenged our teams to look at, okay, well, how do we currently recruit now? Is that right? Are we currently identifying any hidden biases, unconscious biases? You know, look at yourself, reflect, look at every process you're currently doing, and just see where you can learn and grow from that process. And I'm really happy to say that, you know, we are challenging. We always challenge our business to continue to drive inclusion within our recruitment strategies, and it's something that we'll always continue to do. And I feel personally that we are pretty good at that. We are pretty good at doing that.
No, definitely. It sounds like, in terms of the process you've taken in terms of talent, but throughout the business, it sounds like it's worked really well. I know you spoke about, in terms of employees there, and you've been speaking about your team and the whole Adidas team globally, especially within Manchester as well. I mean, I know you spoke about culture already. I was going to bring it back to that. In terms of maintaining culture within your office is never easy, but it's much easier than when you're at home. How have you maintained that culture and made sure that everyone's still motivated and driven to succeed while being at home?
Yeah, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie, it's tough. It's tough because, as you said, you know, you've got a culture in the office. You have a lack of culture at home to a degree, you know, because you're in your own cultural bubble in your living room or in your bedroom, as I am, as you can't see in the background at the moment. But you know, I think communication is the biggest driver of that culture within us. So, you know, our leadership team have been fantastic throughout this past 12 months, you know, driving what the strategy is going to be, how we play to win, you know, how we win with the winners, how we mirror our consumers, and, you know, what we are about as a brand, and then filtering that down from the senior leadership team straight down to then your individual team. So your management teams then you know, having team meetings. Not talking about like micromanagement here, where, you know, you have a meeting every day for the sake of having a meeting. That's not what we're about. It's just, you know, having maybe one team meeting every week just to check in, putting in, you know, wellness hours, you know, in your calendar. If you want to have a wellness hour where you can do a team workout or something along those lines, you know, that type of thing has been crucial to continue to not only feel like you're part of a team, but to continue that kind of cultural momentum while you're at home. But I won't be, I won't, you know, beat around the bush or anything and say that it's been easy, because it certainly hasn't. And what works for one team doesn't work for another. So it's a consistent challenge, and hopefully it's one that we continue to overcome. But yeah, that's a real tough question, because it's a real tough challenge. And I'm sure that's the same with most businesses. But if I was to suggest anything to any business, it's just communication. Not over communication, because that can turn into very much like micromanagement, but just being open, honest, transparent with what you're doing, especially if you're in a management position, when you're not physically with somebody day in, day out. And there's topics around furlough, there's topics around some companies will be doing redundancies, or, you know, shutting down stores and stuff. There can be a level of uncertainty around the business. And if you're not communicating with your employees, you're not communicating with your teams, who knows what they're thinking in their head? You know, should I look for a new job? Is my job safe? Just that reassurance is crucial. Reassurance is key. And that's something that I think Adidas has always been pretty good at.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. I think that a lot of people went through a difficult period of last year, but I think the fact is, if you're communicating what's happening and keeping everyone up to date and not keeping everyone in the dark, you're going to get better work rate, and those people are going to feel better within their place of work. I know you mentioned it. Can you tell me a little bit more about your wellness hours?
Oh, in terms of the Wellness International team?
Yeah, I know you said you took it as a wellness hour where the team went and did some sport.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, and that's, again, the wellness hour is something that I can't even remember where it actually came from, but it was something I know that I picked up from Adidas. So I can't remember whether it came from our wellness team or whether it came from just individuals within the global team in general. But it was just something that I picked up on it, that some individuals in our brand, while they're working at home, were just blocking out their calendar at certain points in the day, you know, for an hour, and we're just using that time to distance themselves away from their living room, their laptop, because when you're working from home 24/7, you can literally feel like you're waking up, you're having breakfast, you're taking the kids to nursery, you're back in your living room, you're switching on your laptop, you're on calls all day, or you're working all day, you shut your laptop lid, and you're still in your living room. You know, there's no separation. And what I found by putting these hours in is it just helps. It's very weird. Like, even if I just take myself out of the room that I'm working in and go and sit in another room, switch TV on, or go and do a workout, or while we're still able to, just go out for a walk. You know, it's those slight differences that really do try and like recharge your mind and recharge your mental state.
Yeah,
otherwise we go crazy. But that's more what those hours are really. I'm pretty sure that probably came from our wellness team as well.
it sounds like a great thing. I think the fact that you're right. I mean, for last year, I've been coming into the kitchen or into the lounge, and especially it's difficult to get out all the time, but to have an opportunity to shut your laptop down, have dedicated time to get away, or even have a bit of variety, can charge you up in a different way. I think my final question, and thanks a lot for today. I know that a lot of people are going to have a lot of great feedback to take away, but I know that, and I'm sure you're well aware as well, that the employment market at the moment is very difficult. I think applications have increased by 50 to 75% per job role. I mean, what advice have you got for those who are applying to Adidas, but also, given your experience specifically within Manchester, what advice have you got for those who are looking for job roles within Manchester as well?
Good question. I would say just make sure that every application that you make does truly matter, and try and avoid those generic kind of spam bot applications, you know, where it's like one click apply. You know, with Adidas, yes, applications have grown significantly. You know, we are a fairly huge organization and attractive employer, you know, and, you know, most of our roles we do attract a lot of interest, and even more so now with the employment market being what it is. But one thing that we do at Adidas is when any role goes externally, we look at every single application, regardless. So, you know, if you do apply for Adidas, your CV or your application will be read by a recruiter. It's not like we would advertise it up and we'll only pick the top 10 and read through them. Every single CV will matter, but your CV has to stand out, especially in this climate at this moment in time. So if you're just sending a generic marketing or a generic HR or a generic sales CV that isn't tailored maybe to the requirements of what we're looking for as a brand, or if your cover letter isn't, you know, giving us a little bit more insight into why you want to come and work for us, and it's more just a generic, you know, I'm applying for a role, that's not going to scream out to us for a shortlist. So any kind of application that you're making at the moment in this current climate, just make sure you put an extra 10 minutes into that application process. Just look at the job description, any key requirements that we have on a job description, make sure they are visible on your CV or they're visible in your covering letter, and you will be seen. And have some patience. I think it's very tough for me to say have patience. I understand that, but, you know, as a recruiter, and as I can maybe speak for most of the recruiters within Adidas, hundreds of applications are coming in for a single role every single day, and they're pretty much being filtered by humans. We don't have AI filtering out our applications, so they are being seen by human recruiters, and that takes time. So if you've applied for a role on Monday, you know, don't expect an answer back by Tuesday or Wednesday. You know, we do have a generated email that says 2 weeks. Give us up to 2 weeks to at least send some form of communication to you. And if it does exceed those 2 weeks, please be patient with us, because we will send you some form of communication. Ideally, it will be in 2 weeks. However, we are finding more and more roles coming live now within Adidas as we are continually to grow with our digital expansions. So we are, you know, exceeding expectations in terms of recruitment, and applications are flooding in. So we will communicate that back to you. Just make sure your CV stands out.
Amazing. And I think any other tips for the general Manchester market?
Yeah, absolutely. So general Manchester market, I think just, you know, look us up. You know, we're only in Stockport. It's not too difficult to travel to our space. And the one thing I'll say from the Manchester market is we don't get enough applications from you guys.
Okay, well, there we go.
It's mad. It's absolutely crazy. And, you know, when I do some employer branding inside Manchester City Centre, the amount of people that don't realise that we're in Stockport, so we're even in the Northwest, they feel that we're in London. We have an office of nearly 500 people in Stockport, Hazel Grove, you know, a huge facility. So anybody in Manchester that you know wants to explore Adidas in some capacity, add me on LinkedIn, you know, start up a conversation through there, look at our careers site, apply for some roles through there, and let's get talking. And if you are in an unfortunate situation at the moment where you are, you know, in a redundancy situation, just again, make that CV stand out, because no matter your situation, there will be an employer for you. If it's not us, I might be able to recommend an employer for you.
Amazing. Well, there we go. Hopefully after today, you're going to get some applications from Manchester-based.
Please, because it's so difficult trying to relocate people from London to sunny Stockport, or Manchester. So please, Manchester candidates and Mancunians, my fellow Mancs, come on, join us in Stockport.
Love it. Marcel, thank you so much for catching up with me today. I can't wait to share this with everyone. And I know that especially the last bit you spoke about there is definitely going to get cut out and released for people to